Alright, so this will be a feedback slash critique for SSJ Guile with a just kind of like a focus on the matches between Shadow 20Z and Ganryu. I think I'm just gonna do the Shadow 20Z match. I want to take more time to watch the other matches and kind of soak it in and see if I have other viewpoints to add or not add or whatever. Yeah, whoops. Let's just get right into it. Let's...
Did you launch that?
Oh. Yeah, you know, usual disclaimers. I'm a nerd who likes Tekken, and I like Feng. I think he's pretty cool. Another disclaimer is I have no fucking clue what to do against Zafina, right? So it's gonna be a little bit of trial and error. Just a wee bit. Just a wee bit. And if at any point that you have like anything I say, it just kind of gets, you know, shut down in your experience, like, hey, you know, feel free to disregard it. I'm just kind of spitballing here. So the first problem that we're gonna see throughout this set, in my opinion, is whenever you either have the advantage or you're in a just any time, it just feels you're overall playing way too antsy, right? You're not necessarily flow charting, you're not necessarily super aggressive. It's just kind of like you're too eager to try and close this out or kind of cement your advantage, right? So like let's say like right here. Okay, you got the punish, but then you dash in, thereby essentially just giving up all your frame advantage to work with. Was there a reason to dash in? I know it's Zafina, but outside of like a high move, there's nothing that you would do that would require you to dash in, right? So why are you dashing in? Let me just double check that I'm not like blind here. 1-3, and then you kind of so you kind of like move forward and then negating your advantage. So constantly, whether if it's in an advantageous situation, you try to press your advantage in ways that you shouldn't, right? Like the moves are either too slow or you do movement before entering the move and then negating all your advantage, right? You're no longer what the fuck is 1-3? You no longer, oh shit, +6 to 7, hell yeah. Like you're no longer +6 to 7, you're back to neutral essentially, right? So what was the reasoning there? And Shadow has enough reason to challenge you because it's like, all right, I think this dude's just going to be very aggressive. And then in situations where you're kind of disadvantageous or, you know, you got Oki stuff, you have this tendency to over rely on, let me use moves in this situation to get out of it. Maybe I can hit him out of it. Maybe I can escape with X move right here. And instead just opting for a little bit more patience and a little bit more kind of just blocking or movement instead would have served you better overall. That's just kind of that's going to be a running theme throughout the set, right? Yeah, it was kind of like a, alright, let me go for my mix-up so it's not the worst. Yeah, right, like the over-reliance on the backswing. It's not over-reliance, but you do like the, I don't know, a lot of the things like the backswing blow. What can you do? Right, so like, this is tough.
Yeah.
Right, so like right here, what's right there before she can backdash away? What's sort of stopping you from just doing down back 3, right? Like even with the backdash, I think no. Even with the backdash, maybe after like the second one. What is that? Her down forward 1. -5 on block. There's no GIF, but I'm gonna assume that's her down forward 1, right? I don't see any other option of what that could be. +1. Like her down forward 1, if frame data bot is correct, right, it's -5. And I get it's Zafina, but I think you reasonably had an option to just kind of like, all right, let me just immediately do down back 3, just kind of like as like a challenge, because yes, what she's doing mid into mid, but it's like, okay, after the second one, if she does a high, she's gonna high crush it. If she does a mid, even something like down forward 1, you're gonna hit her out of it with down back 3 because it's gonna be faster, right? You got a 5-frame head start on this lady. And if it's movement, she's not gonna sidestep you. It's down back 3. Backdashing, I would have to test it at least. So I'd recommend testing it and seeing, okay, recreate the situation. If you down back 3 there, what happens? Does it just whiff, or do you at least get some kind of like decent frame advantage in, and then maybe try to start a comeback or something, right? Just kind of you're like too antsy at the start when you have the advantage, and then when it gets close to like closing out the round, you kind of just you can like freeze up and you got to play super conservative. And some opportunities where it's like, okay, well, if you take the risk here, you can. It's like you're already in a precarious, risky situation. I don't think taking a risk to try to like get some momentum going is you know, it's not gonna, like, yeah, it'll kill you, but it's like you were already on death's door anyway, if that makes sense, right? It is better to I don't mean to sound over dramatic, right? But it is better to play for the win as opposed to playing to avoid losing, if that makes sense. I've a terrible habit like that too, of just like, all right, as long as I play to avoid the defeat or the loss, we'll be okay. It's like, you gotta sometimes just go for that risk.
Yeah, of course he would do the mid. Of course he would do the mid.
Saying go for the risk for 12 damage, but down back 3. What are you gonna do?
I'm having a read on
right, so like right here you have the
okay.
It's like, all right, I'm in a bad situation. I don't know how minus that move is, or plus on hit. Is it plus on hit? Is that shit really plus on hit? Man, I used to think Zafina was okay. I was like, man, Zafina should really oh damn, can Feng not launch that? Wait, can he actually not launch that? That'd be fucking insane. Because she's pretty low to the ground, and Feng's wall standing 3 is fucking trash. Right? And his hop kick is fucking trash. God, I'd be devastated if that was the case. But, well, what can you do? S tier Feng. Such is life. That was sarcasm for anybody who is taking that seriously. Please don't.
I'm having a read on.
Right, so, yeah, you're +2. Or you have up forward 2, but clearly you're getting hit out of it. You got to take the mix up. You just gotta take the mix up. Block it and then punish. Right.
Shadow, that's good.
Yeah, now you're just in the schmicks. Okay. So again, okay. So right here, right? Up forward 2 hit. Awesome. Congratulations. You are now +3. Excellent. Excuse me. What on God's green earth possessed you to go for headbutt, right? I blurry. Oh my God, this is so blurry. Why is it so blurry? You get the up forward 2 on hit. That was a headbutt, right? Oh, okay, it just looks like shit. Thanks, YouTube. That was clearly a headbutt, right? Why? You were only +3. The Zafina could literally walk a pixel backwards and headbutt would whiff, right? What is the reasoning here? Right? Shadow is in a super confident position. They're gonna press their advantage. They have such a huge life lead on you, and whatever you do, they'll just, it's very likely for them to get counter hit you out of it, because they know you like to press buttons based on their previous experiences for how you handled down 3, how you handled other situations. I just think, yeah, it was just kind of a wrong decision, wrong time kind of deal. where it's like, look, you escaped with a forward 2, just get the fuck out of there, right? Instead of advancing your position or trying to press your advantage, your very fleeting advantage with a headbutt, just reposition yourself so your back isn't to the wall like this, and now you're under pressure from this Zafina, right? Start repositioning yourself so Zafina's back is to the wall, and Shadow will be more inclined to take risks. Will they? Your guess is as good as mine, dude. I do not. I wish I could tap into the mind of a pro player at some points, but it's like the situation is going to be way more in your favor, right? So again, the moment you hit the up forward 2, you should have been focusing on positioning.
He loves that mid a lot.
There is no what's the word? There's no reason after the up forward 2 hit that Shadow is going to suddenly be like, oh shit, I just ate up forward 2, time to hold back and just let my opponent take their turn. It's like, no, they're like, I can challenge you, right? By the time you actually reach where Zafina's at, any advantage you had from up forward 2 hitting, it just wasn't gonna, it was gone. You backdashing? I guess you are. Nice. Nice. Wow. Repeated hits and Feng doing 3 hits in a row and they don't whiff? That's fucking crazy, dog. Because that like he can't. You should be launching this, right? I'm pretty sure while standing 3 will hit. I mean, if it does, I'll test this on myself later, and if it doesn't, fucking pour one out for this guy. God, this matchup is ass. Okay, round 2. Nice. All in for the schmicks. Did she really just go under down forward 4? God, what a fucked up character. What a fucked up character. Nice. Okay. So, oh, right. And lack of punishment aside. Okay. Well, I'll talk about that in my personal opinion stuff. Let's just finish up this round and then do the usual breakdown. So, okay, so like right here, right? Why are you trying to chase down the Zafina, right? I mean, right here, like why press your advantage with the wall standing 3? I get that the Zafina challenges you a lot. I get like Shadow challenges you a lot in sort of these pressure situations. Like they're not afraid to press buttons. But why the wall standing 3, right? You know how awkward the hitbox is gonna be, and what did you do leading into it? A bunch of down 4s? I mean, you did a bunch of lows. I don't fucking rip. Like you did a bunch of lows. It's understandable. I think I would have just committed to the lows until they show that like that they're willing to block them or try to do something, because for the most part, like Shadow's just kind of like, I don't care about your lows, and it's like, okay, well, if that's the case, you just keep doing them, right? I think it was too early to pull the trigger on the mid mix up.
Let's not do that.
But that's just me.
Okay, I'm done.
Is that a punish? Nice. I'm like, that really bugs me. I don't know if you can launch that. That's the fucking sad part. It's like, oh wow, this thing that should launch somebody. I don't know if I can. Unfucking real.
That was Zafina, right?
Yeah, that was Zafina.
That was Zafina.
Okay, so why the immediate like down 3+4 there, right? Why not instead opt for like, okay, I just got my first counter hit down back 3 this entire match. Let me instead see what they do. Do they stay on the ground? Do they try to immediately side roll or tech roll, right? Let me hold down back and get out of that situation first. Gain some more information to work with the opponent. I don't think you've gotten too many knockdowns to see what what Shadow likes to do, right? But I think it was, I don't know. On one hand, it's like, all right, cool. You got some extra guaranteed damage, like 7 points of damage. I'm always in favor of some damage. But on the other hand, it's kind of like, all right, well, you still got the early rounds. I know you don't have a lot of rounds left to play around with, and it's like, all right, time to seal the deal. But gaining information is still valuable. Is it more valuable than the guaranteed damage? It depends on the player, I guess. I'm thinking that I think it was fine to sacrifice the damage and gain more information to work with so that you can, go into future counter hit down back 3 situations with a bit more knowledge to maybe create a more effective pressure situation for you afterwards, right? It's like, all right, if they're not standing up, I'm just going to do back turn 3 and I'm going to hit them on the ground and get some chunky damage, right? It was too early to pull the trigger on the guaranteed damage. It's not necessarily that it was like the wrong decision or a bad decision. It was just more of like, hey, look, here are some other options to consider. Good whiff punish. Very ballsy down forward 3. Tragedy. So even if you hit it, right? Let's take this into consideration. Even if you hit it, you're on Suk Madik, right? Like, even if you hit it, I think it just fucks up your wall combo. So right here should have been that should have been just another down forward 3 or down forward 4-3, right? Or something to keep up your wall combo. Just sort of like, hey, look, this is like, okay, I'm on Suk, my wall's probably right there. Let me adjust for an early wall spike or something. Just something a bit different than the overcommitment on forward 3-4. This is my personal opinion thing, but it's like, yeah, at that point, snake dash and just let core circle forward 1 rip. Like, I don't know. We'll talk about that more in personal opinion stuff. Rip. Too slow on the couch cancel.
That's so fucked up!
What a fucked situation. Okay. Neutral combo slash punishment slash matchup knowledge combo slash Oki, and my personal opinion stuff. Neutral. I talked a bit about it already, where it's just kind of like, look, man, you're too antsy. Like, you're not. If you're under a pressure situation, you just kind of like, all right, let me get out of here with the move, as opposed to like movement. If you're in a minus situation, it's another like, let me do move or let me do a mix up or something. And it's like, maybe you just need to. Just a little bit more patience just to see like how often they finish their strings. Other aspects of neutral. Shadow. We'll just go into like punishment slash matchup knowledge because this is a bit more about that. Shadow, for whatever reason, just never really ducked that often. Maybe they weren't scared of your lows. Maybe they were confident that the lows wouldn't amount to much. And I think you should have gone for more lows, right? I think Zafina has a decent crouching punishment game, but it's also just kind of like, all right, just do corsical forward one. What are they gonna do? Launch you? Zafina doesn't have a 14 frame launcher as far as I know. So just a bit more lows. Not necessarily because it's like guaranteed to work out. I just think it's what's the word? There wasn't enough reason for them to duck. You weren't really racking up as much chip damage as you could have, and giving them more reasons to duck to fall prey to your mids. It was just kind of like, all right, let me just play this poking game. Let me just try to like move around a bit and poke, and then do the occasional like wall standing one into stuff. When doing a bit more of like you do down 4 when it's in, you know, in that close range, which is solid, but you need to, like, let's say you get like 3 down 4s, right, versus just 1 corsical forward 1 or 1 down 2, and the damage is comparable. Like, obviously it's not, obviously 3 down 4s is like what, 21 damage. Feng down 4, yeah, it does 7 damage. It's not really, it is a good low. It, you know, it'll discourage her from stepping, kind of. It's not enough to discourage them from like just stand blocking all day and waiting for you to do a slow move that they'll just counter hit you out of, right? And I get like something like down 2 isn't very pressure building, but again, it's just more about, okay, if I have the opportunities between 2 down 4s, or I just do 1 corsical forward 1 or 1 down 2, you just kind of go with that, because assuming that, you know, the opponent's not really like mashing anything or mashing hop kick or backdash into low parry or blocking all these lows and stuff, because you want to make them remember that it's like, hey, I got these and I'm gonna use them and I'm not afraid to use them, type of deal. And more importantly, you're racking up damage. You basically this is a long-winded way of me saying you need to work on your chip damage, and you need to work on how much damage you can get through poking. Down 4 just isn't going to cut it. I like down 4. I think down 4 is a solid low, but it's also just kind of like pathetic damage, right? And also just kind of experiment a bit more with what you do from down 4. Like, just do 1 down 4 into more movement stuff, right? Combos / Oki. I thought your combos were fine. Obviously, just be a bit more mindful about stage awareness. Experiment with that situation again. Recreate the situation, the approximate positioning you were from Sook, right? If you did, what other combo enders could you have done to avoid dropping the combo? Or was 4-3-4 solid and it was just, you know, the online environment fucking you over type deal, right? Because it's very vital to know of like, okay, in this situation, if I'm going to end my combo with 4-3-4, what's going to happen, right? Am I going to drop it and die, or am I going to get the combo? And even if I get the combo, what are my other options? So experimenting more a bit there. Oki, I think there was like 1 combo you did early on where you got basically, you know, you got the full launch, right? Like you did 4-3-4 into something, and then you finish off the combo, but you don't press your advantage with like some sort of pressure option, like forward 3 or 4-3, right? The handspring or hand flip, whatever, and experiment with that, right? Again, just build up your pressure. Don't just immediately sacrifice it because you're facing Shadow, right? First, make certain that they're going to do that, right? You can't just look at the name tag or look at the identity of the player and just be like, oh, I'm going to immediately assume that they're going to do X thing in X situation. You can't just seal off moves. If I'm facing Jimmy J Tran, right, and I'm on the ground, am I going to tech roll? Am I going to be very disinclined to tech roll? Yeah, sure. But in the early stages of the round where I'm not, facing taunt jet upper and other crazy bullshit, if I'm just facing my opponent's on their wake up, I don't know what they're going to do yet, and I can't assume that they're just going to have the perfect counter ready. Gain more information and make them see what they are. And look at how many lows you got throughout the set, right? Like, Shadow wasn't really blocking a lot of them. And it could be that they just weren't scared. And that's perfectly fine. And you just kind of go, okay, well, they're clearly not blocking my lows. They're not. They either aren't confident in their ability to read my timing yet, or they just don't care. And either way, right, it means you do more lows. You need to rack up that chip damage. Personal opinion stuff. You need to do more one jabs, right? You need to just go for the quick disruption with the one jab. And actually, so normally I would say that. Normally I'd say, like, I need to see more one jabs from you. Obviously, Zafina kind of mucks things up, just given that it's Zafina and it can be really scary. I still think you have to be jabbing a little bit more than you are. Just kind of like going for the quick disruption, right? Like when she's doing down forward one repeatedly, just kind of going for like the jab into that frame advantage, into movement, and just kind of seeing where that goes. Oh boy, I need to get some sleep. More sidestep 2 and sidestep 1+2 and just sidestepping in general. Obviously, sidestep moves, not characters, but I'm saying just sidestep in general, just so you're softening them up. I think I talked about this in the Guil video as well. Just kind of like, look, I'm not saying you need to utilize the move. I'm saying you need to make them familiar with the move and see if they expect it or make them expect it, right? You need to constantly be utilizing a lot of Feng's options and show that you're willing and ready to use them so that the opponent is constantly on the lookout for them. So that way you can do, like, here's my empty sidestep into block, so that you'll see if the opponent wants to freak out and challenge you, or maybe they don't, right? Or here's my sidestep 2, and now I'm gonna hold down back to escape and not commit to a mix-up, right? Again, it's using a variety of tools to soften the opponent up, so you have a good variety, like a lot of different angles to attack the opponent from, as opposed to just the usual. I think Master Spreader was talking about it earlier somewhere on the Discord, just kind of like, you can play super dry Feng, and you can just, out fundamental your opponent and stuff. And I'm not necessarily saying go full on party Feng, right? I'm not trying to say like, here's this super niche situation where move number 433 in Feng's move list that you see once in a blue moon can be super effective. I'm just saying Feng's famous for a lot of his moves, and you need to just kind of always have them at the ready and make the opponent wary of them. Just make them know, like, hey, I am willing and ready to use this, so you better like be on your toes about it. And again, the goal isn't just necessarily to use the move, it's to mentally drain your opponent and make them be constantly on the lookout for everything, right? Even if it's a pro player like Shadow, right? Obviously the threshold for them to start being scared of shit, it might be a lot higher. They're just a lot more confident in their abilities. That's fine. It's still like you need to eke out every advantage you can, right? Again, just my personal opinion stuff. More lows, more core circle forward 1, more down 2, maybe the occasional down back 3, right? Like, I get core circle forward 1's kind of slow, and I get down 2 has kind of awkward range, but I'm just really valuing the damage. Like, your chip damage with down 4 just isn't cutting it. You need to go for a bit more chunky damage and give them a reason to kind of like, all right, let me try ducking, right? Maybe throw out the occasional down forward 4. I know you did that after like back 4 hit and she went under it, which is super fucked. But just throwing out the occasional mid poke when you guys are feeling each other out instead of immediately committing to wall standing 1. Just kind of seeing what they do. Do they immediately flash duck after? Do they immediately just start to sidestep, etc., etc.? when you get guaranteed punishment opportunities, like obviously shoulder is very hard to let go because it's big ass shoulder into knockdown, which is cool. But yeah, again, consider, you know, something like 1-2-2 into back turn and then holding down back. Again, just trying to constantly recreate the situations of, oh shit, the Feng is now back turn, I should expect a mix up, and then holding down back to get for you to get out of the situation safely so you gain more information on your opponent. It just felt like throughout the match you were just kind of like sealing off moves or sealing off strategies. Maybe not on purpose, but just kind of like, all right, I don't know if it's going to work out yet. But I think it's more important that you try and see how it works out first before just kind of foregoing the move in favor of safer, more tighter options. I mean, it's Fang, dude. You got to play a little bit loose with this stuff. I'm not saying, you know, start doing shifting clouds in their face, but just experimenting more with your other options. How's down forward 3+4 in the Zafina matchup? Is it just ass? I don't know. Does a forward 3 help, right? Like, I know it's only just guaranteed into head spring or whatever, but that's still pretty good. Didn't the hitbox get buffed? I just think it's very risky to like use stuff like wall standing 3 outside of a, you know, it's gonna work punish situation and stuff like down forward 3. I just think the hitboxes are just such shit, right? Yeah, that's my thoughts on the Zafina match. I want to do a follow-up. I'm gonna watch some more matches and definitely do a follow-up on the Rixta video, on the Rixta section. I just kind of, you know how it goes. Hey, here are my first impressions. Take of it what you will. If you have any feedback for me, and more than willing to hear it in terms of like, hey, I actually wanted more feedback or advice on this position, or if you hear something on my end and just kind of like, oh, that's really wrong, let me know, right? Just kind of be like, hey, look, like, here's the reason why this didn't work out and stuff. So that way, because I have zero fucking clue on this Zafina matchup. I rarely see the character. Rarely playing Tekken now. I kind of tried giving it to it. I accepted a Wi-Fi match, and I thought, like, this time it'll be different, and that was a fucking mistake. I'm never accepting Wi-Fi ever again. Oh, man. I mean, the real mistake was playing Tekken online. It is what it is. Alright, see you on the next one.